66 million years ago, Earth was a world dominated by colossal beings, whose mere existence seemed to defy the imagination. The late Cretaceous period unfolded across vast, untamed landscapes where the rules of life were written by giants. The sky above teemed with creatures that could eclipse the sun with their wings. The oceans were ruled by monstrous reptiles, and on the land towering behemoths wandered, their every step shaking the ground beneath them. On the Earth's surface, the colossal theropods and towering sauropods, massive plant-eating titans, were the undisputed rulers of the land, their immense frames cut through the dense vegetation, their footprints marking the Earth like ancient runes. Some of these giants reached lengths that surpassed even the largest modern-day skyscrapers. Every step they took resounded like thunder, and their presence was an awe-inspiring reminder of nature's raw power. Their long necks reached for the tallest trees, their massive jaws snapping up enormous quantities of plant matter, sustaining their sheer scale. In the dense humid forest, they moved as though they owned the very earth, while smaller predators followed in their wake, looking for scraps. But if the land was ruled by giants, the seas were home to monsters that lurked beneath the surface. Mosasaurs, massive marine reptiles, glided through the water with terrifying grace, their sleek bodies built for speed and destruction. Their long, powerful jaws could crush anything in their path. These aquatic hunters ruled the oceans as relentlessly as their terrestrial counterparts ruled the land. Beneath the dark waves, the mosasaurs were the undisputed sovereigns of the deep. Above it all, however, were the rulers of the sky. Pterosaurs, creatures with wingspans so immense they could block out the sun, soared through the atmosphere with terrifying majesty. The skies were theirs to command. Among them, a lineage of creatures known as the Azhdarquidos took center stage, their wingspans growing larger and larger with every passing age. They were creatures of the air, silent, graceful, yet capable of terrifying speed and power. But none of these winged giants could match the true king of the skies. In the vast, endless expanse of the North American skies, a beast with wings stretched further than any bird or pterosaur before it took to the air. Quetzalcoatlus. Its wingspan, reaching a staggering 33 feet, was the largest ever recorded among flying creatures, making it the undisputed monarch of the sky. With every beat of its wings, it covered immense distances, effortlessly gliding above the earth below. Its presence in the sky was not just awe-inspiring, it was a testament to the extraordinary evolutionary forces that had shaped the world during this time. But even this colossal creature, revered for its size and majesty, was not alone in its dominance. Far from the skies of North America, on the distant islands of ancient Europe, another winged titan was stirring, and when it rose to claim the skies, it would challenge the legacy of Quetzalcoatlus in ways that no one could have anticipated. Quetzalcoatlus, its name echoed the ancient stories of gods and celestial beings. The pterosaur wasn't merely a creature, it was a god of the sky, an ethereal force that dominated the air with an unmistakable majesty. It glided effortlessly above the earth, its vast wings cutting through the air with the grace of a legend. The very sight of it soaring overhead must have struck awe and fear into the hearts of those who witnessed it. The wind itself seemed to bow to its wings, and the skies stretched endlessly, made for nothing else but its eternal flight. With a wingspan greater than 30 feet, Quetzalcoatlus commanded the heavens in a way no other creature had. Its wings were like sails, catching every thermal updraft, carrying it effortlessly across vast distances. It was not simply a flyer, it was a symbol of the power and wonder that nature could create. To see it soaring above the earth must have felt like witnessing a living myth. A creature so large, so magnificent, it seemed to defy the natural laws of flight itself. Its sheer scale was staggering, its presence in the skies unparalleled. But Quetzalcoatlus wasn't just a passive observer of the world, it was a predator. Despite its size, it could swoop down with remarkable speed, its immense wings slicing through the air to snatch up its prey. What exactly it hunted remains a mystery, but there's no doubt that its wings enabled it to patrol vast areas, sweeping over the land in search of food. It was a predator without equal in the skies, a terrifying figure that could dominate any environment it chose to inhabit. Its reign in the sky was unparalleled, yet even Quetzalcoatlus could not escape the inevitability of nature's power. Just as every kingdom has its challengers, every throne has its rival. Far from the skies of North America, on the far-off islands of what is now Eastern Europe, another creature was beginning to make its presence known. Smaller and more isolated, the island of Haiteg had nurtured a giant of its own. A new king of the skies, whose very existence would challenge the supremacy of Quetzalcoatlus. This new titan, rising from the distant corners of the earth, was a giant in its own right, one whose size, strength, and power were unknown to the world of Quetzalcoatlus. The discovery of this creature would rewrite the history of the skies. It was a force waiting to be revealed, and when it emerged, it would claim a place alongside the legends. The age of giants, it seemed, was far from over. In a remote corner of the earth, an ancient island lay untouched by time. Haiteg, a small landmass once nestled in the heart of the late Cretaceous period, was home to an unusual cast of characters. This was an island isolated by the seas, where evolution took strange turns. The creatures that inhabited it had been shaped by the scarcity of resources and the lack of large predators. Here everything was smaller, dwarfed by isolation. The dinosaurs were no exception. But in the shadows of this strange world, something immense was hidden, waiting to be uncovered. Its name was lost to time, its bones buried under layers of sediment in the slow passage of years. For millions of years, the remains of this creature rested in quiet obscurity. It was a pterosaur, far larger than any others known, yet its discovery remained an unspoken secret of the island. In the 1970s, a group of students exploring the geological wonders of Romania stumbled upon something extraordinary. What started as a routine fossil search turned into an archaeological marvel. The first pieces were uncovered almost by accident, fragments of a skull and a humerus, seemingly belonging to a creature of unimaginable size. But at first no one understood what they had found. The bones seemed too large, too strange, to belong to anything known to science. Initial analysis led the paleontologists to believe that they had stumbled upon the remains of a theropod, a large land-dwelling predator. But the more they examined the bones, the more the truth began to surface. The shape, the curvature, the fine details of the bones, none of it matched any known dinosaur. Something was wrong. What they had found wasn't just another predator. It was an entirely different beast. Eventually, the realization dawned. These weren't the bones of a dinosaur, but of a pterosaur, an enormous one, unlike anything that had ever been recorded. As the puzzle pieces came together, the paleontologists realized they had discovered a new kind of flying giant, a creature that had dominated the skies of the ancient world, a true king of the air. They named it Hatzegopteryx, a fitting tribute to the island where it had once ruled, an island so isolated it had given rise to creatures unlike any others. The bones of Hatzegopteryx revealed a pterosaur of colossal proportions. Its wingspan stretched to nearly 40 feet, almost twice the length of a modern-day airplane. This was a creature capable of soaring through the skies with unimaginable grace, despite its sheer size. But its size wasn't the only thing that set it apart. Unlike other pterosaurs, which were lightweight and built for speed, Hatzegopteryx was solid, robust, and muscular, a true titan of the air. At the time of its discovery, Hatzegopteryx was still a mystery. Few understood just how enormous it truly was. But this giant, sleeping in the bones of the earth, was about to shake the foundations of paleontological knowledge. The skies were not ruled by one monarch alone. There was another giant waiting to challenge Quetzalcoatlus, to steal its crown. As the world of paleontology slowly pieced together the skeletal remains of Hatzegopteryx, a vision of a creature far more formidable than anyone could have imagined began to take shape. The more scientists dug into the past, the more they realized that Hatzegopteryx wasn't just another member of the pterosaur family. This was a beast whose wings stretched farther than any bird could ever dream, whose body was solid and immense, built for the kind of hunting and survival that other flying reptiles could not comprehend. Its wingspan was staggering, up to 40 feet, nearly the size of a small airplane. The wings themselves were designed for long, powerful glides across the skies. But this wasn't just an elegant creature of flight. Hatzegopteryx was a predator, and its size only served to enhance its reign. What made this giant stand apart from other pterosaurs was not just its size, but its form. Its bones were not delicate and hollow as in many other flying creatures, but robust, dense, and powerful, built for strength. This wasn't a creature that relied on lightness to soar. It relied on brute force, solid structure, and raw power. The skull of Hatzegopteryx was another marvel in itself. At over 8 feet long, it was one of the largest skulls ever found in any terrestrial animal, non-marine. Unlike the slender skulls of many other pterosaurs, Hatzegopteryx possessed a thick, powerful skull, equipped with muscular ridges where large, crushing muscles would have been anchored. This wasn't a creature built for precision. It was built for destruction. Its jaw was capable of inflicting tremendous force, capable of snapping bones, crushing prey with a mere bite. Its neck, too, was far more robust than that of its counterparts. Shorter than most pterosaurs, but incredibly strong, it would have supported the immense pressure needed to deliver devastating blows to its prey. Biomechanical studies suggest that this creature could have withstood forces up to 10 times its body weight, making its neck one of the strongest ever observed in a flying creature. Hatzegopteryx was not simply flying through the skies, it was actively hunting, stalking, and killing with a brutal precision that made it a terrifying apex predator of its time. The island of Hateg, where this giant had once reigned, was a place of unique ecological conditions. It was an isolated landmass, its distance from other landmasses preventing large theropods or other massive predators from crossing. In this island paradise, Hatzegopteryx was free to roam without competition, becoming the ultimate predator. The island itself was home to a host of smaller island-dwelling dinosaurs, many of them dwarfed in size due to the limited resources available. Hatzegopteryx was perfectly suited for this environment, where it could use its size, strength, and hunting skills to dominate. It wasn't just the terrestrial creatures that fell prey to this pterosaur. In fact, it's believed that Hatzegopteryx hunted much like a modern-day bird of prey, circling above its land and scanning for potential victims. Whether it was small dinosaurs, tiny pterosaurs, or even lesser reptiles, nothing was safe from its tremendous strength. It hunted opportunistically, seizing whatever came into its territory, and its immense size made it nearly impossible to challenge. It was, without a doubt, the undisputed ruler of the skies and land of Hateg, the largest, most dominant predator of its time. But as great as its power and size were, they would not last forever. The rise of this giant signaled not just the peak of a natural kingdom, but the beginning of the end for an entire era. The cosmic forces that would alter the course of history were already at play, and soon the skies that Hatzegopteryx ruled would fall silent. The island of Hateg was a land apart, isolated by the deep, relentless seas that kept it cut off from the rest of the ancient world. Here, on this subtropical island, life took on a peculiar, miniature scale. This was a place where the typical rules of evolution were bent and reshaped by the limitations of space and resources. The predators were few and the prey even fewer. This was the world in which Hatzegopteryx reigned supreme. In an ecosystem where food was scarce and the growing season was limited, many creatures had shrunk to an almost dwarf-like stature. Dinosaurs, which in other parts of the world had grown to immense proportions, were now reduced to smaller, more compact versions. Species like the small theropod Balor, the tiny Telmetosaurus, and the diminutive Maiarosaurus roamed the forests and grasslands. Their existence was one of constant struggle, each one adapting to the peculiarities of island life, limited prey, scarce resources, and isolation. But they were not alone. Up in the skies, Hatzegopteryx watched over its domain. The enormous pterosaur ruled both the earth and the air, its wings stretching for nearly 40 feet, casting vast shadows over the land. Its sheer presence was enough to send smaller creatures scurrying for shelter. But for the pterosaur, this world was a hunting ground, its very territory to patrol. This was no passive flyer, it was a fierce, active predator, ever on the lookout for anything small enough to become its next meal. What made Hatzegopteryx such a formidable predator wasn't just its size. It was its skill in navigating the dense forests and the towering cliffs of the island. Its massive wings allowed it to soar for miles, scanning the ground below for any movement. But when the time came, it could also swoop down from the heavens with breathtaking speed, its jaws wide, ready to snatch up anything that crossed its path. The landscape of Hateg, with its mix of forests, rivers, and marshy areas, was ideal for a predator like Hatzegopteryx. The thick trees provided ample cover for hunting, while the numerous rivers and lakes ensured that smaller prey would have to travel, offering easy opportunities for ambush. But the pterosaur didn't rely solely on ambush tactics. It was a hunter in every sense of the word. It used its keen eyesight to spot prey from above, then swooped in with devastating force, its jaws snapping shut on anything too slow to escape. Hatzegopteryx was a generalist, an opportunistic predator that wasn't picky about what it hunted. From smaller dinosaurs to reptiles and even other pterosaurs, it hunted whatever it could overpower. It didn't matter whether the prey was fast or slow, large or small. Its size and power made it nearly invincible. The small island-dwelling dinosaurs had little chance against such an overwhelming force. The flight of Hatzegopteryx was a mark of terror in the skies. Its wings, like massive sails, could carry it across the island, sweeping down with deadly precision to strike at anything within range. Despite its size and power, Hatzegopteryx never overextended itself. It was a master of its environment, knowing when to strike and when to wait. Its hunting methods were both strategic and efficient, ensuring that it remained the undisputed apex predator of Hateg. It had no rivals. Nothing else on the island had the size, strength, or skill to challenge it. The island was its kingdom, its domain, and it patrolled it mercilessly, ensuring that no creature went unchallenged. But nature's balance, as powerful as it was always precarious. The reign of Hatzegopteryx was not forever. Despite its dominance, there were forces outside of its control that would soon rewrite the rules of the island. The cosmic fate of the planet was already sealed, and even a titan like Hatzegopteryx would not be immune to the impending storm. The sky that it had once ruled would fall silent, and the land that had fed it would soon become barren. The reign of the pterosaurs, of the great flying giants like Hatzegopteryx, came to a cataclysmic and irreversible end, not through the claws of a rival predator, but from the cruel, unforgiving hand of fate. The Earth, after millions of years of dominance by creatures of unimaginable size and power, faced a cataclysm that would change everything. The skies grew dark, the Earth trembled, and life as it had been known came to a screeching halt. The asteroid strike that struck the Earth at the end of the Cretaceous period was more than just a simple collision. It was a cosmic bullet, fired from the dark void of space. The moment it impacted the planet, it unleashed a chain reaction of destruction that no creature, no matter how large, could survive. The skies filled with ash and soot, blocking out the sun and plunging the Earth into darkness. The once verdant landscapes of the world, where giants like Hatzegopteryx reigned supreme, became a barren wasteland devoid of life and warmth. The temperature dropped, and the once thriving ecosystems began to collapse. For creatures like Hatzegopteryx, the end came swiftly. Its once mighty wings, which had carried it so effortlessly across the skies, were no longer useful. The skies, once its domain, had become a deadly place. The ash and dust swirling in the atmosphere blocked out the sunlight, making it impossible for the pterosaur to navigate or hunt. Its food sources, the small dinosaurs and reptiles that had once been abundant, began to disappear. The world was growing colder, harsher, and there was no escape. As the days turned into weeks, the relentless pressure of the changing environment began to take its toll. The island of Hateg, once a lush paradise, was now a dying world. The climate shifted too quickly, and the island's fragile ecosystem could not keep up. The small dinosaurs, adapted to the isolated environment for millions of years, began to struggle for survival. With the loss of food, many species began to die off, and soon the once thriving ecosystem became a shadow of its former self. But Hatzegopteryx, the great flying titan, wasn't immune. The destruction wrought by the asteroid's impact was universal. It wasn't just the land creatures that perished. The skies were silent. No longer could Hatzegopteryx rule over the island as it had once done. The skies were forever changed, and the once mighty predator was left to face the inevitable. It couldn't fight the forces of nature, nor could it escape the crushing reality of extinction. The asteroid impact marked the end of the Cretaceous, and with it, the end of an era of giants. The world would never be the same again. The land, once teeming with life, was now barren. The skies, once filled with colossal creatures, were now eerily quiet. The reign of the pterosaurs was over, and with their extinction came the death of an entire ecosystem, the disappearance of species that had ruled the Earth for millions of years, and with that, the Age of Giants came to an abrupt and tragic end. The legacy of Hatzegopteryx and its kin lives on only in the bones they left behind, a silent testament to the power and fragility of life.